Moving on to announcements. Last week, we did close out end of year, and I'll let Angela talk about our successes on that. The 25-26 CalPADS calendar has been posted to the CDE CalPADS calendar website. So that has been updated, so we can now see all the upcoming dates. And it looks like you have a brief window now to work on getting all of your students enrolled, your data in line, and then you can start your data population for fall 1. I know everybody's looking forward to that. Let's see. We did have a build on Tuesday. Angela, did you want to talk about that?
Yes, there was no production bugs in that release, so nothing to talk about.
Okay, and did you want to talk about end of year and our success rates?
Everybody was successful. We had nobody that failed to meet the deadline. Some spilled over into the weekend, which means they are eligible for differentiated assistance, but at least everybody certified, so that's good news.
All right. Sean,
I see
Dominic,
Shelley celebrating. Shelley was one that was a little hesitant last week or the week before, so glad you made it, Shelley.
No, sir, I don't
Sean,
have anything currently.
okay, Sean, how about you? You got anything?
I echo Angela's, and we are very happy that Shelley made it too, because I was in there trying everything.
All right, then. Let's move on then, and we will close out that and move on to our questions. All right, so at 3:01, Soraya, Q1. Hello. Hi. Our leadership team has some questions regarding the accurate data criteria for this year's differential assistance determination. We noted from the May regional that quality criteria and its guidelines are still being developed, but is there any information available to guide us in determining which staff members should be responsible for reviewing specific data points? Our leaders want to know if these individuals have to meet certain criteria in order to be designated as reviewers of the data. All right, looks like Alex has pulled up the quarterly CalPADS meeting slide for differentiated assistance. Who would like to talk about that? Do we have Matt on the line?
I think Matt is out today, so I will take a stab at it, although this is his area of expertise. I believe the CDE is still working on defining the criteria of what quality means. We don't have any guidelines right now for who's responsible, but Matt will call me remiss if I didn't mention that the data governance regional meetings will be coming up. Last year we did them with Fresno Unified, and this year the focus is on data governance. Alex has the schedule up there. There's regional meetings. They are typically in person. Sometimes they'll have a offshoot where you can zoom in, but it's preferred if you can attend in person. And I think you'll get more information there.
All right, thank you, Angela. Moving on to Shelley at 3:01, Q1. Is there a plan to eventually change the accountability and monitoring cohort reports to real-time reports rather than having them wait for the overnight processes?
Don't know the answer to that one. If you want to ask again, Shelley, next week, I can try to find out for you.
Fair enough. Thank you. Mariah, 3:01, Q1. I understand that CalPADS to TOMS has generally been about 24 hours. However, how soon does TOMS drop off of the student if the TBD status is removed and/or CELA is added to the EO status in CalPADS, no initial LPAC taken yet? I'm trying to understand the reconciliation process before we start making changes in CalPADS and be prepared to explain to staff working in TOMS when they should expect to see those changes. Okay, my understanding is that every night, Sunday through Thursday, the overnight processes ship off all of the CELA data to LPAC and TOMS. LPAC and Toms then receives it the next business day and has, I think, a 48-hour window to incorporate it into their system. So if you, on a Monday morning, removed a TBD and replaced it with an EO, that would be included in the Monday night submission to LPAC and Toms. They would then have 48 hours from Tuesday morning to get it incorporated into their system. So that would be Tuesday, Wednesday. So you would be seeing it no later than Thursday morning. That's my understanding of the process. Anybody want to stand up and correct me on that one? All right, then I'm going to say that I actually nailed that one. So yeah, you got the whole day, depending. Oh, wait. Rebecca said, I didn't know we were removing TBDs and replacing them with new statuses. If the HLS is incorrectly populated and no initial LPAC has been done, that can be done quite easily. After the initial LPAC has been done, not quite so easily, and a STARS request needs to be submitted, and it usually doesn't get the TBD and the subsequent removed. It just gets a status change after that.
Paul.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I heard, from what I gathered, yes, that is correct. I just want to clarify, when you said take down the TBD status, they take it down and then they wait a day before putting up the new status, correct?
I had not specified that, and I did not know that we were supposed to wait a day.
I thought, and this should be in one of the more recent flashes on the EL correction process, or the testing process. But it's my understanding, in order for that TBD to register to that it's actually taken down on the Tom side, they needed to wait and then be able to put up the new status. They needed to wait for that nightly processing. So that file is clear and goes over. And then the next day,
see.
the new file comes in.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. I had not read that.
Do you remember that flash, Sean? Was it this year?
No, let's go towards the beginning of last year. And it talked about the testing process. And I just remember it had a grid in it. I didn't write that flash. So that's why I don't know, Alex, but it had a whole grid in it that said what if, and I want to say it may have been more pertaining to TK, but it was relevant to all.
Okay, I'll look for it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Try
All right.
286, Alex.
Thanks, Nate.
All right, so we do have in Flash 286, scenarios for TK, students inappropriately placed in KN. Okay. Yeah,
Sorry.
I've already started. All right,
Checking
those
all
are
of
all very specific to TK and KN data. All right. Oh,
I don't think that one's it. I think this one, delete the status. Oh, no.
yeah, but
Both of
again, these are all about if you
Diana's here. Someone.
misgraded them all. And you said Diana's here to talk about it?
Well, Diana's entered into the room, so someone can admit her, and then we can ask the same question.
I got her. I just need to find her again.
I'm sorry to put her on the spot too, right when she walks in. In the meantime, we may want to come back to it.
All right. Yeah, we'll come back to you, Maria. I'm going to leave your question open and scroll on down. Soraya, see your Q2. Heather, 301 Q1. We have read Flash 303. We have 2 students who finished their graduation requirements in the summer following their 11th grade year. Would we follow the guidance in Flash 303 and graduate them as 11th graders, or give them a one-day 25-26 enrollment and graduate them with their class? 303.
I
What
would say,
date?
Paul, that they should graduate, add the graduation information when they graduate, not necessarily with their class. So if they graduate a year early, report that information.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like the blanket answer. But specifically, what date did they graduate? Was it on or before 8/15, or was it after 8/16, on or after 8/16? Because that's going to determine when they get. Okay, it was before 8/15.
But it sounds like it
So
was in the summer, not before the last day of school. So you could kind of treat them like the 12th graders, just add a 1-day enrollment for before 8/15 to add their exit information for graduation. Is that what
and
you were going to say, Paul?
yes, and then I was also going to say, and regardless, if they're graduating as 11th graders, they're not going to show up with a different cohort. They're going to be reported with the cohort that they were initially slated with. So you're not going to see them on the 15.x reports until the year that they were expected to complete, but you will see them on the 1.23 for the academic year that they completed in. All right, Rigoberto, 301 Q1. Good afternoon, team. Good afternoon, Rigoberto. Is there a petition process to move a student to a future graduation cohort in CALPADS? For context, we had a school site request to move a student based on a grade skipped in their enrollment history. No, the 4-year cohort is intended to measure a specific period of time, that 4 years. So if they entered with grade 9 and they graduate after 2 years, they're still going to be reported with their cohort, because we're measuring not how quickly they can get through it, but we're measuring everybody's outcome at the end of the expected 4-year window. So if they graduate early, they'll be reported in the 1-year completion reports for that year, but they will be reported years later on the cohort report that they are associated with. So that way it's constantly counting the same population, and that's the intent of those reports. And that's how the 4-year cohort at the federal level is also reported. You don't want to start changing up cohorts saying, oh, they just finished up 2 years early, so we wanted to get them included in this cohort. But that cohort has already been established 2 years prior to that, and they're not part of it. So we're actually looking at a very fixed population with these reports. So no, there is no petition process because that's not what they're intended to do. All right. Heather, I see your Q2. Eric, 301. I see you. If a student who registers for the first time in our district is unable to attend on the first day of school, are we permitted to adjust the start date of the actual day of attendance? Additionally, what is the protocol for students who completed the previous year and are expected to start the following year? We have received reasons such as traveling for leisure, visa issuance delays, family emergencies, and illness. My understanding is the school year starts on a very fixed date, whatever that date is. If you have enrolled them to start with the school year, that's when they're expected to start. So you would, unless prior arrangements have been made saying they're transferring in from, wherever and will not arrive in California until 2 days later, I believe that you can make that start date 2 days later because they were not physically available, but not for traveling for leisure or anything else. They have to be there when they're expected to be there or they are absent. All right. Raya Q3. Selena, 304 Q1. Good afternoon. Do sites need to upload after-school program behavior data into CALPADS? If yes, is it attached to the site that the student attends or the site the after-school program is located? I believe we have an FAQ on this, don't we?
Can you repeat the question, Paul?
Rereading the question. Do sites need to upload after-school program behavior data into CALPADS? If yes, is it attached to the site that the student attends or the site that the after-school program is located?
No, and when you say program data, like she talking about like the ACES program or the ELOP? Like she's talking about the LEAP file?
Yeah, if it's extended learning, expanded learning program, that there is no school associated with the new LEAP file. It's just at the LEA level.
Yes. Thank you, Angela. That's what I can't see the questions, you all. Sorry.
But then Alex is highlighting if there's a suspension or expulsion outside of school hours. There's
Oh,
a
so she did
FAQ.
mention discipline. Okay, that's what I thought I heard. Sorry. So no, discipline outside of school hours is not reported. It should only be discipline within school hours that is reported. And then also for discipline, make sure that it qualifies for a reportable education code that's reported. If it's not a reportable education code, then no. And what is that? 48,900 and 48,915 or 815 are the two education codes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The FAQ though, the last little bit says that it should be reported if it occurs outside of school hours, but in relation to a school activity or school attendance.
Yes, so like if it's a football like event kind of thing, that's still a school activity, but it's not an after school activity. Like it's not part of a specific after school program. It's still related to the student's daytime coursework or so because they get credit for football. Does that make sense?
If you're asking if it makes sense that they get credit for football, no. But I get the rest of your sentence, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And sorry, Selena, I missed that you were asking a behavior question.
All right, moving on to Stella 304Q1. Under what circumstances can the parent make a change to the alternative income form once it has been submitted? What do we do if the parent has made an error?
That's a local process. CalPADS doesn't collect AIF forms. So that's gonna be a local decision for you to determine with your nutrition director.
Okie doke. And right there is the principal apportionment section's contact information at pase@cde.ca.gov. So that would be an ideal location to submit that question to.
This is
That's
Diana.
not attendance. Yeah, I was like, I don't think that's the right place. That's
Well, no, actually, Sean, I wanted to step in because the alternative income form that it's no longer being used for the meal eligibility, right? Remember, that's the universal benefits application. But you can use the AIF for LCFF eligibility. But you're correct, it's a local process. I mean, that's my understanding of it. Or local process in how you would allow for a correction to come through.
Okie doke, thank you. At 304, there's a continuation of Eric's question, and he was apparently still typing it when it got cut off. So I'm just going to put this one into the mix since I think he only partially answered his question here. So Based on Flash 132 from 2017, I understand that it is due to compulsory attendance requirements and we cannot modify the first day of school for any reason, and that the student should be marked as absent. Is there any more recent documentation than the 2017 statute, especially considering the current focus on addressing chronic absenteeism? Today is our first day of school. So did that change anybody's perspective on the answers provided?
No, your answer was still correct. And the statute has not been updated. So we wouldn't have any guidance. That's why your answer is still correct, Paul.
Understood. Thank you.
And then can we take a moment and go back to the other question for Diana?
Sure. The one from CALPADS to Tom's?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Diana, the question is overall, I'll let Paul read the question and then I'll tell you what my previous answer was.
All right. So here's the question. I understand that CALPADS to Tom's has generally been about 24 hours. However, soon does Tom's drop off the student if the TBD status is removed and or CELA is added to EO status in CALPADS. No initial LPAC has yet been taken. I'm trying to understand the reconciliation process before we start making changes in CALPADS and be prepared to explain explain to the staff when working in Tom's they should expect those changes.
So my clarification was that if they're removing the TBD, they need to put up the deletion file for the TBD, and then they need to wait basically until that file is processed and recorded. So typically, end of night or end of day. And then once that file is transferred over to Tom's, then, next day they can put in the new CELA status for the student, especially like when going, if they're doing a correction from TBD to EL. And that's so Tom's is registering their removal and then their new subsequent record.
So it is a nightly process, right? But this timing question, and I actually want to take this back to staff that fields more of these questions than I do.
Okay.
So is this Maria's question that came in at 3:01?
Yeah,
Yes.
Maria, can you submit that as a ticket and then we'll respond back to you? And if we need to add it into an FAQ or a flash, we will.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, scrolling down, I see Carrie 305 Q1. One of our LEAs reached out because their worksheet for excess costs mentions using the SEDS system to calculate FTE, but last year the guidance was that we should be using 16.14 from fall 1 to calculate this. Can you please confirm?
The guidance that I've seen from the folks at Fiscal, such as Chris Essman, was that LEAs should use their special education data systems when tracking and monitoring this, just because not all of the information is going to be available when it comes to tracking some of those costs. So my understanding is it is the SEDS. The SEDS is intended to be the authoritative data source.
All right, thank you, Dominic. All right, Stella, I see your Q2. Moving down to Andrea at 307 and 310. It looks like the question got split here. Q1, I have started uploading Fall 1 files to CALPADS. When uploading SENR files, I received this error. SENR 0037 duplicate enrollments with the same student school start date. I looked into the SSID number in question, and the student has an enrollment of 8/4/2025 with a T160 from a different LEA. I'm trying to add an enrollment start date of 8/4. does the other LEA need to change their enrollment start and exit date, or should the LEA remove the enrollment record completely? Yeah, the SENR 0037 is triggering because they can't be in two places at the same time. So that T160 from the previous LEA using the 8-4 and 8-4 date shows that the student was in attendance for that single day. Otherwise, it would be an N470, which would say we expected them, they never showed up. So in this case, when you're trying to then create an 8-4 enrollment, it's already seeing that 8-4 is all booked up and not letting you do it. I would reach out to the other LEA to verify that it's really a T160, because if the student was not there, it should be an N470, which would then allow you to create that 8-4 date or 8-4 enrollment. So I guess that would be the starting point I would recommend, is reach out to the other LEA and verify that that student was actually physically on site on 8-4. Okay, Amanda, 312 Q1. Is there an issue with the matching tool? I get an error saying too many columns, but my SENR file columns match the batch template. All right, Alex has pulled up the active issues and I'm not seeing anything there. Sue Ann did ask a question, what SIS are you using? It could be an SIS issue. And you are using PowerSchool. All right. No, I'm sorry, that was from Aunt Angela Mata. So it looks like people are using it successfully. So I would contact your SIS and ask, is there an issue with the version that they're using? Just to verify that there's not a background issue on your end, because again, we haven't gotten a lot of tickets today on the matching tool and definitely nothing on this topic.
Or
I
are you,
noticed, Paul, I noticed that she said she's sending like the SCNR file. So some vendors have like they might call it like an SSID, like extract file or something like that. So she may just be maybe just be pulling the wrong file within her system. But I do agree that maybe contacting SIS. And then Nate was gonna say something.
well, just she referenced that her file matched the batch template. I wonder if she's using the batch template, because if so, or even Excel for that matter, when you copy and paste data in, sometimes there's formatting in cells that appear empty. So if you're not using the extract directly from your SIS, you can submit a ticket and we can help you with that on the service desk. But if you're using that, if you're pasting data into the batch file template, clearing the formatting in those blank cells sometimes will fix that issue you're experiencing.
All right, thank you, Nate. That. Okay, moving on to Nicole at 313. Q1, not really a question, but I am trying to figure out best practices for ELOP attendance recovery. We use Aeries and would like to get an idea. Oh, dang it, it's bouncing around. Hold on. I'd like to get an idea of what other districts are doing. We have been using a separate ELOP database for our students the last couple of years, but it looks like Aeries documentation says we will need to use supplemental attendance in our school database. If anyone would like to share their approach, feel free to comment or share contact information, please. All right, Nicole, monitor that chat box and hopefully somebody will get back to you, DM you in there or leave some contact information in the chat for you.
Or you can also pose the question in the two-way listserv.
Or you could post it in the two-way listserv. Okay, 315, Terry, Q1. Are there plans Are there plans the state will change the other college state course code 9227, rename or change the description? Too many filters, Alex, too many filters. All right, so college course credit other. So this is just kind of the catch-all for college credit that wasn't specific to language or mathematics in any way. I don't know of any discussions underway to change or eliminate this.
It's been posed before, and I think we're still considering.
Okie doke.
It looks like there's a couple comments there from some of the
Let's
folks
see
about
here.
that.
State board voted to remove that in their July meeting. Per SBE, removal of course code 9227 from the list is approved courses for future classifications not to be done retroactively beginning with the 2026 dashboard, meaning that beginning with the 2027 graduating cohort course 9227 will not be an approved course for CCI purposes. So it sounds like SBE has decided something, but CDE is still discussing it.
The 2026 dashboard isn't until the end of the year. And so that means that end of the school year. So that means that for CDE, then 26, 25, 26, 26, 27, we would have then guidance for it. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. I was like making sure I got the dates right.
All right. Thank you for the clarification. Carla 317 Q1. Are fifth-year seniors counted as dropouts on the CALPADS 15.2 reports or not? It depends. If they were exited as E230, 360 for not having completed their graduation requirements, or as E156 indicating that you know that they're coming back, they will be identified as dropouts until their subsequent enrollment using an enrollment start date prior to the following census day, which is October 1st, is posted to CalPads, and have that included in the actual cohort reporting outwards. It needed to be in CalPads prior to, I don't remember the date. It was on a flash. I don't remember the date. But it needs to be posted to CalPads prior to the cohort window closing for that information to get into the cohort report and update in the overnight processes to be reflected as still enrolled. Now, getting back to my old standard spiel here. For state reporting, we have all these buckets, and we're giving you some granular information on each one. Where are your non-graduates going? What were their final end results are? That's not how it's related to the feds. The feds have a binary system. Graduate completer, not a graduate completer. So all the people that are not graduate completers are being sent off in a single bucket to the feds. So the rest of the report that's providing all the detail on, adult ed completers or people going off to get GEDs, that kind of thing, that's for your edification to help you inform your policy into the future so you can help your students locally knowing where they're going. That's the purpose of the 15.2. All right, close that. Lydiat at 318 Q1. Is it required for us to claim 25, 26 seniors before the cohort poll on August 15th? Just like I stated, if you want them included as something other than a dropout, you want them as identified as still enrolled, you need to get that enrollment posted to CalPads before the 14th. So that way it gets included for the 15th. because it will require the overnight process to incorporate that enrollment and change the status over. And Sue Ann at 3:20. Hi, Sue Ann. Q1. The current reports show real-time reports for only end of year 2 and end of year 3, and the certification reports for all 4 end of year report periods under reports. With the change to end of year reporting periods for 25-26, what will happen to the existing list of reports? Traditionally, they are still associated with the submission. So end of year 1, end of year 2, fall 1, fall 2, in the certification details screen. In
Is this
the
the
what?
flash that went out? I'm sorry, Paul. Go
Go
finish.
ahead.
Finish. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that then under the reports menu, it's just going to show you what is currently active and available there, but then you have to go back to the actual academic year and submission you're looking for to see the historic report and run it. I don't think that they will include the retired reports on the certification reports screen if history is any kind of a marker. Okay, so the list under reports would not include the retired reports. You would actually have to go back in through the certification status screen, adjust the academic year, go to the specific submission you're looking for.
Yes. And that's where, so even reports that have been the ODS extracts, the ODS reports that have been retired, then yes, that's where you're looking for them at. And that's also where you're, oh dang, drawing a blank. And all that's coming to mind is Angela, because she creates it. The roadmap. Thank you. So sorry. So when the roadmap is identifying like the reports that you should be reviewing, especially those for like fall 2, like 4.5 or so, those are still available to you. They're within your certification details there. They're just not updating in real time. You'll see that update in that nightly process.
Okay, and with the real-time reports, once they're retired, are there ever any historical references to them if still available, or do they just go away once they're retired?
The historical data will still be there, and you showed that correctly, where they just go into their certification, toggle through the year, and pull the report there.
Okay. All right, moving on to Leah, 324 Q1. I may have missed it. Is bridge not a thing anymore? My new admin tried to look for the sign up link and it's not there anymore, and the trainings are now on a public facing site. Thank you. Hey, Nate, you want to talk about this since Matt's not here?
Sure.
Flash 309 also has that info.
Okay, Flash 309. You want to talk about Flash 309, Nate?
Yeah. Well, you're right. Bridge is not a thing. And through professional learning in the CSIS website, you can access the new training page. It gives you access to all the CALPADS related trainings that you would expect, as well as additional CSIS trainings like the Data Governance Academy. You don't need an account. That's the main reason. So we're willing to train whoever you want to send from your LEA, and we have a larger training room. So it should be a little bit easier for everyone to register and train. You'll still get a confirmation confirming that you're enrolled in training. And so we're looking forward to getting as many people trained as possible this upcoming year.
And Leah's very, very happy about that. And then Angela said, I do miss the ability to add the event to our calendars from the confirmation email like we used to in the bridge system. So maybe an enhancement in the future, who knows? And it looks like I missed Melissa's Q1 right above that. So I'm going back up to 321. Melissa's Q1. Based on Selena's question, can the FAQ be updated to state that the discipline data from an after-school program should not be reported to CALPADS? So just make a clarifying statement on their differentiating between school activities and school programs, I guess.
Go ahead and submit that as a ticket. I need to run that by our programs office first. I don't, then that's gonna be, typically we take the language that is in statute and try and be as consistent with that as possible. I believe that language matches what's in statute. For that reason, I believe they might deny me, but I will gladly try and argue a case for you.
Appreciate that. Melissa, if you just put in a service desk ticket asking for that enhancement to the FAQ, I'd appreciate that, and we'll get that on to Sean. Angela, 327 Q1. Can you please confirm if preschool students would appear on the ERD anomaly report, or is it just K through 12? Well, let's go find out. It looks like K through 12 is specified under the ERD anomaly definition. And references identifying ERDs seem to be referencing California K through 12 pretty consistently. I'm not seeing any references to pre-K. You're definitely putting my screen scanning skills to the test there, Al.
Sorry, just
No
tried
worries.
to.
It's
I
working
figured.
good for me. I'm just scanning the screen, looking for anything that doesn't say K through 12.
Yeah, nothing that says preschool.
Yeah.
Or
On an uninformed basis, I'm going to say just K through 12. But if you want to put in a service desk ticket, we can look up the specs and respond to that more definitively. All right, Sean, 334 Q1. Our high school opted to use our 10th grade English class to satisfy the new ethnic requirement. Are course codes going to change?
A new what requirement?
To satisfy the new ethnic requirement.
Ethnic studies? That's not a new course. We have a course in the course code set titled ethnic studies. Don't we?
She's looking, hold on. Yes, and it is still
Yay!
active. Course
Thank you.
9179. So I'm not sure of the rationale to use a grade 10 English class to satisfy the ethnic studies requirement. So that I'm not sure exactly how to answer that.
I believe at one of our regional meetings, right, Sean? The guidance we offered is that it's a local decision at this point.
To fill the requirement, yes. Diana, you're absolutely correct. Thank you for jogging my memory that yes, that is a local decision to fill the requirement for it. But do we have a course? Because they were asking if they're asking if the code set is going to change, right? Isn't that what they asked?
They did ask that. Our course code's going to change, yes.
Yeah, so no, the course codes aren't going to change because we have a course code already for it. But if you're filling your local requirement, then that's something you do so within house, and then based upon Diana, that slide that I wrote in the regionals. Yes, oh, love you, Alex. Thank you. It has the examples and options there for you.
All right, thank you all. I appreciate that. Moving on to Rebecca 335. So would you say that this would be more of a coordinator to attend, such as a SPED coordinator who oversees our case managers for training? Is this higher level since it is said to help leaders implement the structure, policies, and accountability needed to elevate data quality and CALPADS across the enterprise versus my position as a computer systems specialist overseeing the SPED data, reconciliation between our SIS and SPED system, SACE transaction uploads to CalPads and cleanup of very dirty data, etc. And okay, and Rebecca says, sorry, this was meant in reply to Angela and Evan on my Q1 at 3:32. So I'm sorry to have wasted everybody's time with that, but you're always very articulate, Rebecca. I always like reading your answers. Moving on to Sin down at 3:37 Q1. Is the cohort poll on the 15th done at the end of the day?
I'll try fielding this one.
Yeah, sounds like that. I'm going to let you take this one away.
Okay, so it's a tricky question. It's one of the nightly processes it's going to run, and there are several that run, and so it's slotted to end on in the CalPADS UI. We have the end date of August 15th. 2025, and I think the assumption is that that goes until 11:59 p.m. and yet there is this back end queue of nightly processes that run, and so I think it's still an open question for me, like the exact time that it's running. So more to come if and when I get the answer to that question.
All right, thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That one. Stella, see your Q2. Susan, 345, Q1. Our charter school's status change data form was submitted in July. We still need the new CDS codes that will be available in CalPads before we can post SENR records. The issue is that we have students who must be ELPAC tested within the first 30 days of school, but we cannot proceed without the ETS updates from CalPads since the SENR records cannot be added until the correct CDS codes are in CalPads. This delay may prevent us from meeting the testing timeline. Could you advise on who I should contact if we are unable to test within that 30-day window due to these updates not being completed?
So the reason why we wouldn't have completed an update is because we don't have the necessary corresponding paperwork, whether it is the paperwork that needed to be submitted to the directory or the CBED's office for the charter school to open initially, and or if we haven't, is it called the charter change requests form?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
And I do think we actually have this in the queue to be done. So part of it, one of the things is end of year just closed, as you all know. And so now that triggers for us the updates that we can make in our systems. And so it is happening in real time right now. So we're getting to it. And I would say put in a ticket, Susan, and we can see what we can do to help you meet the just meet your reporting or testing requirements.
What LEA is this, or did she say that she submitted the change request form already?
I think it's high tech high. Is that right, Susan?
She put in HTH, so high tech high, yes.
Okay. Yeah, and there, and we are aware of the changes, right? And I remember seeing your emails come through, and I remember seeing the forms come through. So yes, it's in progress.
So Diana, we're up to date as of today. And so if they had a school opening before 8/11, or wait, today's 8/12.
8/13. 8/13. You're close. 8/13.
Oh,
They all kind of
okay,
bleed
then I
together.
lost the
get
date.
it.
Okay, we were up to date as of yesterday. I believe we are
Yes.
up to date as of today as well too, but I will double check once. I will double check this evening.
Perfect. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. So if your school open, so I say all of that to say, if the school opening has a date of 8/12 or earlier, then your information should be in CalPADS. And if not, please, yes, submit the ticket
But
as Diana mentioned.
Well, and I think, Susan, you're talking about a reporting, a change to the reporting, right? Sorry, I'm blanking on the reporting status. Is that what you're talking about? Okay, awesome. I mean, I think, again, I think it's in progress. And so I will check in with, I mean, if you're not a new school, we couldn't have, like, we cannot possibly change your reporting status until end of year closes. And so that is in progress. As Sean explained, we got through adding the new schools, and I can check in about the high tech high, about your forms.
I appreciate that. All right. Okay, going down. Sue Ann has a comment. I am going to take for the first time in 2 years. It's only oh, she's taking a vacation for 3 days. That's better than nothing. Well done. Well done, Sue Ann. Well deserved. Obviously not going to get up to the Great White North in 3 days, but enjoy yourself nonetheless. All right, circling back up, Soraya at 301 Q2. In the context of IEP meetings, what should CalPADS admins do when we are told, quote, this IEP is locked pending signature, end quote, meaning that the meeting was held, verbal consent was provided, but parents have not provided the consent signatures yet. Should the meeting be submitted to CalPADS, or is it ineligible for upload in that state?
It depends on what kind of meeting it is. If it's a Part B initial, then the system is not likely going to let you submit the data if your special education data system is SACE without that parent signature. However, you would still want to send up the meet record, whether that is from your special education data system or using online maintenance, because the meeting took place regardless of the outcome or the parent's agreement to the plan. So you can definitely report the meeting, and it's important that you do to keep your timelines compliant.
All right, thank you, Dominic. Moving on to Heather 301 Q2. We have 3 siblings who were taken by ICE agents. We have no idea what has happened with them since they were picked up. What exit code should we use? Have been waiting for an answer to this question on ticket 324849 for 3 weeks. I haven't looked at that ticket, but I can imagine that there's some discussion going on behind the scenes as to exactly how to code that.
Actually, Diana's here. Diana, you answered that, and your answer was okay. But it was
yeah.
It was a E400, which only applies to kids who are non-compulsory education under age 6 or over 18 or over. So there's some discussion down below about T240 or T140 for the kids who are within the compulsory age.
Right. Well, I mean, I think the overarching answer is we don't have an exit code. I think like that is the discussion we've been having internally. And I think, Sean, you were really helpful in when we brought this to our work group to talk about, because initially it was the exit code that I had responded to in the ticket, and then I realized that there was an age component to it. And so, Sean, I think you had
referenced, I'm blanking. I apologize, folks. But it was, I mean, is it like a local determination? Do we have an exit code that can work as a proxy? And I don't think ET200 is the right one to use because I think that is, yes, I think that is a, like, that is a, I mean, if you knew that the student was transferring to a, you know, to go to a American school in Thailand, that might be the appropriate code to use. But I don't think that it fits the situation.
And it also requires written documentation supporting that. So I don't think that
Right.
that really fits the bill either.
Yes.
Diana, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. I hit a dead zone and I could like halfway hear you. So ultimately, this is going to be, do we have an exit code? Diana's correct. No, we do not. And why we don't have an exit code is because it.
Oh, Sean, I think we're losing you.
Yeah, I think we've lost Sean. But continuing your thought, I think we're just in uncharted territory at the moment. You know, we don't have a code for, hey, a bunch of kids were picked up by immigration. And we're going to have to explore that in the coming days and weeks.
Oh, I hear Sean. I can go. So Heather, I will go back to the service desk ticket and I'll go through my notes because I did write stuff down and I'll touch base with Sean and I'll respond to the ticket. And I apologize that it sat for as long as it did.
Diana, if you include me on the ticket, I can respond.
Okay. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
And I do have a feeling that this is going to be a question asked more than once. So once we get that guidance formalized, I would say be prepared to address it more than once when it comes up.
Ultimately, it's going to be the responsibility of the LEA. And it's because you want to be able to determine where that student actually went to. Okay, right now, they may be unknown, they may be known. It's just going to depend student by student, like all exit codes do for the most part. So that's the ultimate guidance. And then what, Paul, you have referenced having supporting documentation. That goes back to the authority of the LEA and the child welfare and attendance supervisors to be able to codify what your local documentation to support evidence looks like. Okay, and that part is written into the statute of those directions. So do you have to work closely in coordination with them? Yes. The student may be returning to school. We sadly, we do not know. And this is new territory for all of us. So, yes, I would work with your local administrators to be able to determine that's where the child went to and not to just hypothesize and be able to, just exit the student out of your system. Will the student be able to be exited out of your system? And can that be backdated with the correct date? Yes, it can be. But just making them aware of it so they understand what they're working towards and what you're working towards as well.
All right, thank you all for that lively discussion. We have crossed the 4 o'clock boundary, so I'm going to finish up the questions that are in the queue right now and call it good. But if you need to take off, I want to respect your time, and I definitely won't hold it against you if you want to drop off. Soraya, Q3 at 3:02. What language should be used as the primary language when a student that has more than one non-English language in questions 1 through 3 of the HLS? And Sue Ann, I think, has the correct answer. Get clarification from the parents as to what the primary language is. What's the one that's spoken most frequently? Because if there are 3, I mean, that kid's going to grow up as a friggin' genius speaking 3 languages in the house. But you need to figure out which one and then go from there. Stella 306 Q2, if an NPS student is not returning as expected, is over 18, has moved to a medical facility, what should the exit code be? And Ethan suggests the E400 because they are over 18, and that the 410 for medical reasons would also be valid. So depends on what you have documentation to support, and you can probably go with either one of those. As was stated previously, the E400 is generally maintained for non-mandatory students or students that are not legally required to be there because they're either under 6 or over 18. So yeah, you got two choices there. And Rebecca, for clock Q1, will a flash be released for which exit code to use for students detained by ICE? And Diane, that might be on your plate to draft up a nice flash message for us.
I can bring it to the group.
Thank you.
Continue discussing it. Yeah.
That's all we can ask. All right, moving on to Michelle 401. On the immigration, can we put a temporary not enrolled and have our liaison check with the family welfare of the students? Temporary not enrolled. That sounds like a local coding. So yeah, if you just wanted to put them on hold locally, so that way you can identify what's going on with them, that would work. You just want to make sure that that status is all squared away before, fall 1, fall 2 reporting really begins. So that way they're not being artificially included in reports and being required to populate data for students who's nobody there. That's not there. And with that, we've reached the end. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you sticking around for the extra 4 minutes. I appreciate the board for all of their knowledge and information that they shared today. I always learn as much from these things as you guys do. So take care this week. If you need anything before next week's Q&A, please open a Q&A or a CalPADS service desk ticket and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Otherwise, we'll see you back here next week, same time, same place.